Okay. Let me shut that window. It gets stuffy in here, and I open that window. But as we all know, I live in a flight path, and have to deal with the planes going over every 5 minutes. Anyway, I'm back, and you're gonna see a couple of things you never see me do. I'm gonna use hot glue, and I'm gonna cover and finish these legs, which, if you watched the last video, you saw me kind of make the inside and figure out the pattern. Well, this is the leg as it is right now. What I did was I ran the armature up through a little hole in this part, and once I did that, I saw how flat this wall was, this leg was. So I put a slit here, which you'll never see. Put a slit here, and I stuffed it with some polyfill to kind of give these things a little bit more of a haunch look. They're still pretty flat, but anyway. And then I bent out the ends of the wire, and I'm gonna attach the doll joint like I did on the arms. And all I did to the doll joint is I drilled two little holes in the flat part of the peg part. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna feed those ends through those two little holes, and then I'm gonna bend these down snug against it and cut off the excess. And there's not enough room for the washer part in this setup because I use up. There might be. Well, I'll see. But there wasn't on the arms, so I'm not going to worry about it. There's one. Check the other one. Just kind of get it started, and then you can kind of squeeze it in place. Okay, so then the last part. The inside structure is, I'm going to take the hot glue, and I'm going to just coat the back of this thing with hot glue, and then just push it down onto the foam. And burn myself. There's one of them. I'll do the other one here. There's probably better ways to do this, but this is how I did it on the arms. And I think I'm going to stuff some of this in here, and then I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue on this seam and just maybe kind of push it back together a little bit. Maybe I don't need to do that. I'll say that I don't need to do that because it's not turned out very good. Okay, forget I did that. It's not going to be a big deal. Okay, I'm going to unplug that glue gun. So these are the other side. These are the types of doll joints that I don't like, because they're kind of hard to work with, but that's all I got. Clean up a little bit around here. And I should be able to use the same pattern for the foot that I used on the foam. So let's try it. Let me get I'll try to cut enough of it this time. If you watch my video about where I showed the how I made the arm pattern, it was just a little too small. It's just a little too small. So I want to make sure stretch is going that way. It's just going to be the size of the foot. Hey, TC. How's it going? Yeah, I was pretty close to being on time today, I think. Let's see. Oh, and I got the I got that replacement thread that I had ordered online since I ran out of it, so I can actually use it on this last piece, and I'll probably never have to use it again. One foot. Okay. And the stretch is going that way. That way. In fact, I should mark that on the pattern. I should also get rid of this pen because it's nasty. I think I'm going to invest in some new pens coming up. These are all running out right about the same time. Wouldn't be one of my videos if I wasn't constantly fiddling with this camera. So when you're machine sewing especially, you want to make sure that you have enough room for at least one stitch on each toe or finger. Um, Mainly because you have to cut right up to it and you want to have enough room for the scissors to go through. Otherwise, you're going to have this weird pucker, which drives me crazy. And if you don't have it, you're going to cut the thread and have to do a bunch of resewing. So it's just a good idea to have a little bit of a gap between the fingers and the toes, I guess, in this case. A lot of them I will hand sew, so it's not as big of a deal. But on this guy, I'm also going to cut a hole right here at the ankle. So that I can put it on like a sock. We'll see if that works. It doesn't have as much of an armature in it, or as drastic of an armature in it as the hands had. So, because that wrist got real thin, and that's why I had to cut out that seam when I did it. So I should be able to sew this completely around and not have to worry about it. Okay. That's assuming this fits. I'll make both of them before I even try it. I guess there's enough for this. So I guess it was fairly recently, I learned how to use the automatic threader, which is what I just did. So we're figuring out if we can get it to work. All right. The other thing that I did, which drove me crazy about this table, because I don't have a devoted sewing table like a lot of people do. I basically I have the cord attached to this this light stand. You can't see it, but there's a light stand right there. I have a cord hooked up to that, which goes down to the foot pedal, which is Velcroed to my table leg. So that way it doesn't slip out from under my foot. And then when I need it, I can just plug it in. When I don't need it, I can just put it off to the side. I must have a loose connection because every once in a while when I vibrate or jostle this table, um, my entire video feed goes out. The other thing is to make sure that when you lift up the foot to reposition the fabric, that you have the needle inside holding it, and always sew with the foot down. Because otherwise it'll bunch up. And believe me, on my especially on my old sewing machine, it was so easy to forget to put that foot down, especially when you had thicker fabrics, and you just basically do the whole thing, and then you realize you basically have to rip everything out because the fabric didn't or the machine didn't sew it. And I said I was going to do both of them before I did it, but I think it's a better idea to test to make sure it works, in case I can salvage the second one if it doesn't work. Okay. TC5, I do need to eventually get friendly with my sewing machine, at least for puppet clothes. Yeah, and the only other thing I say use it on is the inside liner, because you want that to be nice and strong, and it's a big pain to have to sew those from scratch. I hate doing it even with machine, but it's worth learning. You get this. Also, if you haven't already bought one, I do suggest this strong and tough one, just because it's cheap and it also seems to work really well. But also the it's very simple. It only has 37 different stitches, of which I use 3. I had one that had over 100. It's all digital. It has a cool buttonholer, which I used one time. But other than that, I use the same stitches I use on this one. And it was so complicated that it would constantly jam. So if you're in the market for one, I say get the simplest one you can, because it'll work fine for what we do. This thing I think runs about $250. I may have gotten it on sale for $180. Have I mentioned my new job of hawking brother sewing machines? No, not really. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut a hole in the ankle, and then turn this whole thing. And I'm gonna squeeze this thing together. You guys can't see a darn thing, but I have 3 that have been given to me over the years, but I've never had time to sit and learn how to use them. Yeah, what I would do is I would look up tutorials online for whatever brand you have, and it, the two biggest things is you got to figure out how to adjust the tension if you need to, and how to thread it, and how to clean it. Those are really the only things you need to learn. And always practice on some bad material before you go in for it. I was gonna say, or you could take a class at Joanne's, but can't do that. Putting on his little sock. Fits like a glove. So hopefully the stretch is going to be enough on these toes to make it that I can actually get them into there. Otherwise, it's not going to fit at all. Ouch. Was a pin. So this whole video is going to be me struggling with these toes. I can tell you already. All right, so he's got a little booty on. Isn't that lovely? All right, there's one foot. I'm very happy to be delivering my anteater tomorrow, so I can share the pictures and videos with the world and start on one for myself. Haha. Yeah, I know what that's like. I keep wanting to do stuff like that too. Okay, I got 1 foot on where I rebuild something that I built for a client because I liked it, the final piece, so much. The other thing that took me forever to figure out was to make sure your thread is long and is not going to be sucked back up into the machine when you start it, because that'll unthread this machine, and it's a big pain when you're all set up. You've got everything all in line, and then you have to rethread the machine. What a pain. Yeah, this should be done tomorrow. I'm going to have a Zoom call with the client. She's going to finalize where the eyes go, and then I'll attach those, and then get it in the mail. I'm getting way off the line. It's going to have one big toe now. Let me see if I can back that up. All right. So the only thing left to sew, oops. The only thing left to do is cut it off there first. Only thing left to sew are the haunches. And that's all the sewing is done. So basically all the gluing is done except for the eyes. And all the sewing is done except for those haunches. So that'll be great. Oh boy. So I'm going to have to do a little hand sewing on this toe because of my altering that one piece. I went off the line and then didn't close it up correctly when I was trying to fix it. I'm doing a wonderful job of sewing this thing. Bang up job. The only reason I'm machine sewing as much of this as I am is because I'm trying to get it done as fast as possible. So I don't, because I didn't charge very much for this one. But I'll typically hand sew just about everything. But one way to save time is to machine sew for the most part. Unless your machine is always breaking, then it doesn't save any time at all. Okay, so Do you have a next project you're going to work on, TC? I mean, I guess you probably have the patterns for the anteater, right? So you can, if you wanted to make another one, it would be at least you wouldn't have to start from scratch. Now with the haunch, I'll probably leave the back open when I sew it and hand sew the back up, just so that I can get it on there easier. Because otherwise, I'd have to feed it all through this tiny little thing, and I don't really feel like dealing with that. Yeah, I tried to pattern most of the build, but it will start towards doing a bunch of frogs next. Oh, cool. Are you going to use your own pattern, or are you going to use one of Adam's or something? Or what's your plan? Because he has that, was it fried frog? Need a shoehorn. Have I mentioned I hate making feet? All right. See how high I can go. Just as high as I can go. Now I can kind of. Well, you can almost see it. Charlie Chaplin. Okay, so I got the 2 feet done. I'll make those haunches. Stretch is going that way. Fur's going that way. Yeah, I'll probably try not to flip that razor blade into the air. Okay, now it's all shifted to the other side. Let me see. Well, my first week of trying to do regular updates, and I managed to hit all of them except for one day I had to take off, and one day I missed, or one day I had to do it late. But other than that, I hit them all, so that's good. I forgot that it says I was outside gluing on the other side. Okay, I'm going to leave it open from... I'm going to leave it open to about here. I don't want to do it here. And that got real dull real fast. Okay, and I should... Ooh. What did I do with the... There it is. Well, the good news is I didn't run out of bobbin thread on that one. So let's see if I can do the same on this one. I think I just ran out of bobbin thread. Oh. It's still working. Okay, I don't know why it's not sewing. Let me try this again. This might be the end. See, I was saying how great this sewing machine is, and now it's not working. Okay. This whole live stream is just out to make me look bad. So on this, it's sewn all the way around here up to this point, but I'm going to hand sew it on this line, so I want to be right on the line. And then after that, I want to take it out and leave a little bit of a edge so that it doesn't unravel. Okay. There's nothing. The other thing is I have this I've got to deal with. So I got to figure out where that's going to go. And then I probably should charge up that hot glue gun again, because I want to glue it right at that. Okay, so. Ooh, and I don't know if this is going to fit at all. Okay, let's pretend like I don't have a live stream. I mean, it's going to be tight. Yeah, we'll see. See. Nice thing about this is, even though it's really tight, the foam is pretty forgiving. You should be able to make this work. And the only reason I'm even worrying about it is because I don't want to have to do it again. I have plenty of material. I probably should do it again, but what can I say? I'm lazy. Oh, and not on camera. You'd think that I would be close to being on camera at this point. I mean, I didn't really change this camera setup very much. Hi, Steve. I'll do my best to not offer suggestions, just watch you work. Appreciate your lives. Oh, feel free to make suggestions if you see something I'm doing wrong. There's no right way to do anything or wrong way. It's really just, kind of the way people do things. Unless you do it differently than me, then you're wrong. Honestly, I think the best training I ever had was working with other people with a variety of builders early on that all did things a little differently and showed me the way they worked and allowed me to know how to solve a bunch of different problems. And even though I work different than Swazzle or Adam or BJ or any other bunch of people, they don't always all work the same every time either. It's whether they want to admit it or not. They're constantly solving problems because we're not using anything the way it's intended to be used, and we're all improvising our way through it. And there's some techniques that work better than others, but there really is no right way to do anything. I'm very opinionated when it comes to this sort of stuff. And right. See, this is a perfect time to put on your 3D glasses. The overhead shot of me sewing like this. Yeah, see, if I had been smart and not sewn both of those up at the same time, I would probably have added another inch to that pattern. That's okay though. It'll be fine. Keep telling myself. I'm using the ladder stitch here. Before anybody asks me if I'm doing the baseball stitch. Uh-oh. Oh, I thought I just broke a string or broke a thread. I think I'm okay though. The tension on this fabric is palatable. Yeah, it's noticeable. palatable. Oh, greetings, Dave. Greetings from sunny Sacramento. Yeah, you missed a lot. Here's the legs, or at least one of the legs. The other leg is almost done too. And I'm covered in fur. I just watched The Day the Earth Blew Up, and so I have Porky Pig on the mind, I guess. Palpable. This is tight. Thank you. Thank you. I think they turned out pretty good. For what they are, they're just two flat feet, and two basically flat haunches that are kind of grafted onto each other. I don't think I have any feet that I made for Sammy that I can compare them to, but they're very similar to the way I used to make Sammy's feet. It's basically the way I draw them. That's what it is. Ah. I just saw a video showing a sewing machine that does whip stitches. I'm super happy until I saw the price tag. Yeah, I bet. There's a lot of people that go, I've never worked a serger, but I know a lot of people swear by sergers as well. And they do. I think they would be much easier, much better to use on the costuming part. I know Laura uses the serger. I think she does. But I don't know. I don't mind the whip stitch or the ladder stitch. Okay. So he's got high waters on. I'm going to see if I can salvage this. Maybe not. Ouch. So I'm just going to tuck this rough edge up in there and try and make it look as good as I can. And there's probably a better way of doing this so that it you know, doesn't look so crappy. But for the amount of time I have to spend on this. Uh-oh. I thought it was looking good until I came over to this side and looked at this side. So I'm going to have to sew up these darks with the darker thread, which is not going to be that big of a deal. That's some nasty looking stitches there. It's good enough though. Okay. Okay, it's an industrial machine, and its utility is for sewing real fur. It hides the seams spectacularly. Wow, sounds great. How much was it? Not that I'm going to buy it. I had a friend that had an industrial machine, which he gave me, and I ended up selling because I couldn't figure it out. It was so complicated, and like I said, I hand sew just about everything. He used it to make a pair of leather shorts, and then he decided he didn't really like making leather shorts. And the biggest problem I had with it is that it had a side loading bobbin, and every time I tried to change that bobbin, it shot across the room and made my life so miserable that I was like, yeah, I cannot wait to get this thing out of my space. You can barely see it. Just don't look too close. Lowest cost was $900 for a used ancient one. Doesn't have a bobbin, only one spool. Oh, wow. You know, a lot of the puppeteers I used to work with swore by the Viking that at the time Joanne sold. But it was a Viking heavy duty machine. It was pretty expensive though. It was like probably $500 or $700. But it could do something like that. Like I said, I've been pretty happy with the Brother Strong and Tough. And there was a Singer that had pretty good reviews that also I almost bought, but I had problems with a Singer. Like it crapped out on me very quickly, so I swore them off. My Project Runway Brother, which was a terrible machine, um, like I said, the only thing it had going for it was it had a really cool buttonholing machine, but or attachment. Um, but it jammed like crazy, and so but the nice thing was it was super cheap. It was on clearance at Walmart when I bought it, and I think I got it for like $125, and that got me through a lot of the puppets I built. I think I had to buy I was building the first batch of Tilly puppets, and it just kept jamming and ruining stuff, and I just bit the bullet and bought this Brother, and I've been very happy with it. Okay, one leg done. Hallelujah. All right, there's one leg. Here's the other one. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. All right, where's the other one? Got fur all over my shirt. Wonder where that came from. Again, that the sewing machine is just a tool that helps you in certain situations. I wouldn't recommend like doing every puppet you're trying to do out of it just to say I machine sewed it or save time or whatever. It's kind of the the best use of it for what you're doing. And I love how this one's not fitting at all. I don't know if there's going to be enough thread here to finish this. I should have just done a new one. Things I do to save 2 seconds threading a needle. Sorry, I'm deep in thought. Deep in thought over this, finishing this haunch. I think I'm gonna get a new thread. Tell you what, one drawback to doing this at 5 o'clock, because I'm always starving during these live streams. I should be like eating a big old sloppy Joe because I'm trying to build all these furry animals. Ribs. I could eat ribs. Okay. Yeah, I actually think the ladder stitch is actually a pretty good stitch. I mean, it's I remember my mom used to make pillows and stuff when I was a kid, and I know she didn't know the stitch when she was doing that, and you could always tell where the where she turned it. Um, so This is the one that was explained to me was the Henson stitch back in the day. They say that that's not true anymore, but I certainly think it works really well. Do you guys sew with 2 threads or one? Like, do you double up the thread or do you just do a single one? So it's important to tie these things off as you go, especially when there's so much tension on this fabric, because it could break at any moment. Boy. Grueling. This is my sweatshop I have going on here, I guess. Boy, it's there's a lot of gaps. Hopefully I can pull it all together. That doesn't look terrible. So if I were to do this over again, I wouldn't probably put a cross in the where I turned it in the foot. I probably would have just made a little slit that went probably with the stretch or against the stretch so that it would just get bigger and then I wouldn't have to sew up each of these edges. Oh, the thread just broke. But too late now. Okay, home stretch. Okay, both legs are done, which are fantastic. Okay. Here are the legs. Okay. Oops, maybe I'll put the right leg on the correct place. I'd like to have them. See what's the best way for you guys to see this. I'd like to have him so that he can look like he's sitting. So I'll probably put him right like that. And I want to go not through the lining, but I just want to go through the foam. And there is a dart right here, so maybe I'll put it right on that dart. Now on the arms, I used my wood burner to bore a hole in there, but it burned the fur and made it real difficult. So I'm not going to do that here, at least not yet. Okay, and basically I'm just pushing that through, and yeah, there's not enough room for the washer, so I'm just gonna. Okay, there's one. There's the dart there. Well, I think that's farther back, so I'll just pretend like I didn't make that hole. He has a super secret hole in his hip. Yeah, that's better. All right. So his lining's not sewn in yet. It's not like sewn at the bottom yet, but otherwise he's pretty good. He can even stand if I wanted to. It's like, I'm all right. Don't nobody worry about me. Okay. Yeah. So there we go. Okay, I got to sew the lining to the right spot, and then he's ready to get his eyes attached, and he's done. Hooray! I'm just lining up the seams on the lining and the fur. Hopefully there's enough to make it work. I'll run a whip stitch all the way around. It's going to be real ugly, but that's basically it. There's a chupacabra, capybara butt. Yeah, it was as I was building this, I was like, "Oh, this looks just like the thing from Caddyshack." Um, I actually had sewed up part of this at one point, but had to take it out because I was like, I can't get to the. I didn't want to put the the doll joints uh, through the inside liner because it would fray, and so I had to take it out so that I could just do it at the very end. Okay, and it's going to be hideous, but I don't care. I say hideous because I don't have enough. Like if this um if this liner was maybe half an inch longer, it would be better. But as it is, it's not enough for me to add more material to, and it's just close enough that I can hand sew it. Maybe this could be a little better. I do have some fray check that I could probably put on this, but I've never had much use for. I've never much success with the fray lock or what that stuff's called. It just seems to discolor the fabric. It still frays. There was a seam on here, but I took it out or a hem on here, but I took it out so that it have as much fabric as I could get. You guys can't see anything but a giant rodent. It does feel really good to be finishing this thing up, though. Usually, whenever I finish something, I can usually finish 3 other things. Like I get a little bit of momentum going, and I feel like, oh, I'll just finish this and this and this. I'm not sure what that'll entail here. Oh, I still got to put the tongue in. Just a little bit more thread and that'll be done. Very cute. Oh, that's the same thing you said before. Oh no. That happened. If this wasn't a walk around, it would have arm rods. It also probably wouldn't be sewn like this. Although this is the way Eddie's set up, because I didn't want to have to deal with a neck seam. But yeah, this sewing at the bottom here is not something I usually do. I say that in just about every puppet I've shown you guys I do it. I'm trying not to sew into the leg. I don't want to make it even less mobile than it already is. But I'll tell you what, this has made me want to build Sammy again, because it does solve some of the problems that the last one had. And like, if I were to put legs on the new one, it would be more like this probably than what I did before. All right, that's done. Okay. All right. So I'm walking around the con with my capybara. Let's see, 1 second here. Yeah, I think this is pretty cool. Yeah, sorry, my phone keeps dropping in and out. Okay, so let me put the tongue in, and then I am done with this guy until she can approve the eyes. So this was shocking to me when I saw this in BJ's shop, because I would glue or hot glue every tongue or two, usually the tongues in, or I would barge it in. And he showed me that virtually every puppet that he had just had double stick tape in their mouth for the tongue, and it works so well that I don't even look back anymore. And if you don't like it, you can always put a new one in, which is great. I'm just free. I should make a pattern, but that's really useless. I started making these sculpted tongues to differentiate my puppets from Muppets, and I kind of like doing them that way now. And what I do is to put the little crease in, I fold this over, and then I just chop off the little end, and then it creates that in there. All right, so I'm gonna take off all this sticky tape. I'm doing a bang up job here. Come on. All right, so that's all there. And then I just take this guy. All right, so then he's got his tongue in there, and then it compresses down. Yeah, I'm not sure where these eyes are going to go. I kind of think that He might need some more round ones so that he can look ahead, but actually that's not too bad. Alrighty. Well, this guy, for all intents and purposes, is done finally. I'll take good pictures of him when the eyes get on there, and then before I ship it out. And thanks for coming along for the ride. Alrighty. I'll see you guys next time. I have no idea what I'll be building next time, but anyway. All right.